The newest Nancy Drew game is Labyrinth of Lies, which came out in October 2014. Nancy has worked for like 5 museums at this point in the series, so she is being sent to Greece to help with a museum opening. Sadly, the museum has major issues with robbery, and I'm not talking about the €20 ticket price, I'm talking about a stolen $1 million vase. Nancy starts her job by solving puzzles, as per usual. She sets up a vase display, a temple display, and assigns seating for the play. Oh, that's right, I didn't mention the play yet. To celebrate the museum's opening, they're putting on a play with the best actors money can buy. What's that? We don't have the budget for that? Okay then. The museum is putting on a play with the cheapest actors money can buy. First, we have Niobe Papadaki, whose only acting experience is pretending to know how to spell her last name. She's supposed to be an artist who's good with colors, but that green eyeshadow tells a different story. Next is Thanos, who is mean, nasty, and dark. When he's not dressed in armor, he wears a culprit t-shirt, so I think he's suspicious. Gregor Karakanos is the flirty, handsome guy, so obviously his character was based on me. Except for the wing ears, I don't wear those. Finally, we have Xenia Dukas, fresh out of school in New York. She's a calm, upbeat director, until Nancy breaks something.
What was that? Go live in mere hours. Hours! Do I need to remind you what is riding on tonight's show? Everything!
So, yeah, Xenia is 2 steps away from losing her mind. The highlight of the play is the extensive underworld set, which probably cost more to build than the actual museum. In order to unlock the set, Nancy needs to solve a series of creative puzzles based on Greek mythology. Good thing she did solve the puzzles, otherwise the doors would all be locked and the play would have this awkward moment.
Okay, Persephone, I am going to take you to my throne room. As soon as I solve this slider puzzle, and this water challenge, and another slider puzzle.
Thanos gets extremely mad, presumably because he can't solve the complicated token puzzle, so he kicks Nancy off the set. Nancy sneaks back in using a secret passageway that leads to Niobe's art workshop. Niobe says she's making props for the play, but it doesn't take Nancy long to realize that making props which look exactly like the stolen museum pieces is more than a little suspicious. Nancy breaks into Gregor's tablet. The tablet is a worse taskmaster than my boss, since it orders Nancy to solve at least 4 puzzles. It also leads Nancy to a list of wealthy art dealers, along with the pieces they are interested in acquiring. Normally, Nancy would call the police and have Gregor arrested immediately, but she decides to hold off on that because she doesn't want the game to be too short. Nancy finds evidence that proves the artwork in the museum isn't real. The art is a fake, made by Niobe. More like Lie-obe, because Niobe says her forgeries are not getting sold. Nope, no sirree. The only reason she swapped the forgeries with the real pieces is because... Huh? Niobe doesn't say why? The game just overlooks the fact that the real artwork got switched out? Okay then. Moving on. Xenia makes Nancy fix the light board, and Nancy sees Gregor swapping 2 vases. Remember 10 minutes ago when we proved the museum artwork was fake? Good for you! Nancy doesn't. I don't know, I guess 3rd time's the charm, because this is the 3rd piece of artwork that Nancy has to prove is a fake. She confronts Gregor, which ruins his Gregorous mood.
You're swapping out the artifacts with copies, and that list, that's who you're selling to.
Nancy, up until now, you could have just left.
I can't let you steal the art.
I am not your problem now. Thanos is.
He won't find out unless you tell him.
He's watching. He's always watching. I'm sorry.
Thanos knocks Nancy unconscious, and she wakes up in a prison cell. It's not a very good prison because they have the lock on the inside of the cell, so Nancy quickly breaks out and solves a series of puzzles, including one puzzle where she traps Thanos for a grand total of 30 seconds. Nancy gets knocked unconscious again, and she wakes up in the throne room, where Xenia gives a grand speech about her evil plot to steal the artwork. Nancy escapes through a series of puzzles, and she stops the play in mid-performance to have the culprits arrested. The game ends with Nancy sending a letter to her boyfriend, Ned. Ned is glad that she appeared on stage, but did not wear a skin-tight catsuit like she did in Phantom of Venice. The end. Post-game follow-up. My favorite part of the game is probably the extended ending sequence. Nancy trapping the culprit in a cage reminds me of Treasure in the Royal Tower, our Secrets Can Kill remastered, but unlike those games, the culprit escapes and the story keeps going. That was nice. The only problem I have with the ending sequence is the timeline. See, Nancy escapes during the second half of the play, which means there are two possibilities. Number one, Nancy was unconscious for a really long time, and Xenia waited patiently for Nancy to wake up before giving her villain speech. Number two, Nancy was running around the set and solving puzzles at the same time the play was going on. By huge coincidence, she was never on a set at the same time it was being used. I was so confused by this timeline that I double-checked the lines that are said in the play.
I beg you, Hermes, bring her back to me.
Dear Demeter, it is out of my grasp.
It turns out those lines are nowhere in the script. Continuity! The Underworld set is really fantastic looking. It doesn't make any sense for them to use real fire on the set, but it looks cool. I like how the puzzles are tied into Greek mythology, which made it seem like the puzzles belong there, as opposed to being thrown into the game for the sake of having puzzles. I'm looking at you, random turtle puzzle and shattered medallion. Just based on the game's title, I was expecting a maze puzzle or something to do with the Minotaur, but I'm satisfied with the Persephone myth instead. The weakest part of the game is probably the characters, which seems like a strange thing to say considering that everyone is the culprit this time around. Even though Thanos and Xenia are the main culprits, they get the least screen time. Both of them are gone for half of the game, and aside from forced conversations, you have to talk to Xenia once, and you have to talk to Thanos never. They spent the most time on Niobe, but to be honest, I didn't find her very interesting. Yes, she has a tragic backstory, but I wasn't drawn into it. Gregor was probably my favorite character out of the bunch. I feel kinda bad that he ends up in jail while Thanos escapes and runs free. Poor Gregor. As for Melina, the museum owner, when I replay the game, I fast-forward through all of her conversations. The Hardy Boys are much better phone contacts than she is. Yay, Frank and Joe Hardy. All in all, this is a very good game, and it's my favorite one from the past few years. Sorry, Ghost of Thornton Hall fans. There are minor issues with the game, but there's nothing that's so bad I feel like I should take a point off of the score, which means I'm giving Nancy Drew number 31, Labyrinth of Lies, a perfect 10 out of 10.